Hi, I have in front of me here a Triax power supply unit for their I/O links. Now, this is a pretty straightforward product, 3-pin plug. The output on this is 12 volts and 100 milliamps, okay? So why is this product on the market and when would we use it? Well, it's used in conjunction with the Triax link here. So basically this is an I/O link product here, which is taking the output from a skybox via the I/O port and modulating it so we have an RF output and also supporting a SkyEye. Now, normally we'll say this I/O link is simply used by itself, but in certain circumstances you'll need to give the signal a boost. Now, the fundamental flaw on the I/O port on a Sky high definition box is that the output is not as strong or as consistent as you would get from a Sky RF2 output, which it used to have on its older boxes. So sometimes we'll say, particularly if you're replacing a box and putting it into an existing setup, you might find a scenario where your old SkyEye setup worked and the new one won't work. And it'll all come down to the lack of power. So what you need to do is, something like an I/O link has no power itself. It's totally taking the power from the box. So if you need to give it a boost, we'll say you can now use this power unit to do it. So fundamentally people would normally have the approach, we'll say, it's a very simple setup, just use the I/O link by itself. But if you need to give it a boost, have this power unit available. And if we come along and just see how to install it here, we can just see there's a DC in marked here. And what we do is we just push power port in there like this, and now the I/O link is two power supplies, one coming from the box and one independently coming from the power unit here itself. The typical times of when you'd need to use this is if you had a very long cable run, but also would say if you're supporting multiple SkyEyes through something like this, a link amplifier, which would traditionally not be powered, okay? Simply because traditionally the Sky output from a Skybox would be sufficient to drive it, okay? If you had such a scenario, you'll really probably struggle with the I/O links, and yet if you have multiple eyes, you probably will need to use something like this power unit to boost it. Now, the big advantage that Triax have over its competitors is they had the foresight to put in this DC port onto their I/O link and do it. So we stock this in conjunction and have them as associated products with each other. So that's it anyway, the overview of the Triax power supply unit for their I/O links.